everybody. Welcome to the It Hurts to Mom podcast. I'm Lauren Rose, and today we're talking about yoga. Our guest is Jacqueline Rose, no relation. Jacqueline is a menopause educator and coach, a women's hormonal health practitioner, yoga for women's health teacher, and therapeutic yoga teacher. Thank you for coming on, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Lauren, for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you do.
Yes, so I entered into the world of yoga professionally through the world of yoga for women's health, and specifically yoga for pregnancy and birth. I practiced yoga off and on for years, but as a sort of teacher and as an instructor about 10 years ago. And then really it was through the world of yoga for women's health, which puts the woman and her health journey at the center of yoga practice. I then became fascinated really about how the body works and how, as specifically women, we navigate different health situations and challenges throughout our life. I also trained in therapeutic yoga, which is using yoga as a therapeutic tool for pain management, pain relief, health and healing. And I am studying now that again in a level 2 training. But I also work with women on their menopause journey. As you said, hormonal health is really central to the work I do, and helping women balance out their hormones as a way of treating various symptoms that they experience throughout their life, specifically during menopause, but not exclusively.
Okay, so you said that you're helping with people with pain through yoga. How can yoga help chronic physical pain?
Okay, so I think we all know yoga for many of the things that it's famous for: strength, stability, balance, flexibility, and obviously breath work and meditation. But through the lens of therapeutic yoga, we really delve deep into creating space to connect to your body again as sort of separate from the pain. You are not the pain. The pain is an experience that is happening to you, but we really want you to engage with your body again and try and sort of use the yoga tools, techniques, understanding, breath work, meditation to reconnect with the essence of who you are, separate from the pain. And once we have the space to do that, we can then start more of the movement and more of the treatment and more of the therapy. But I think the first part is feeling back in control, feeling back in connection with this body that, you know, may be going through a whole host of things that are expressed as pain experiences.
So once we get past the pain as our identity, which is a huge problem, it's been a huge problem for me to separate what I'm experiencing from who I am as a person. What are the next levels to that after we kind of master that?
Yeah. So I think understanding the relationship between the emotional and the physical, the mind, body, but how it's expressed on many different levels. So we talk a lot about this and the mind-body connection, the physical and emotional relationships, but really understanding how our physical form of our body can sometimes be a trigger or can exacerbate pain points, and how that is then expressed as an emotional experience. And also in the reverse, our emotional experiences can sometimes, and very often, are expressed in the way that we physically use our body, move our body, where we have points of stress or points of contraction of muscles. And then obviously that's the physical expression. So really understanding through the lens of therapeutic yoga and yoga in general, how the body works in that mind-body connection, that physical emotional connection, and then trying sort of to unpack it a little bit, sort of going back to what we said before about that your pain experience is not you. And so unpacking the emotional experiences you've had to the way that your body may then express those physically, and also your physical experiences, how they may impact you emotionally or biologically or even spiritually. and really understand the relationship between the two, how connected they are, and then to slowly sort of peel back those layers without shame, without guilt, without victimhood, without judgment, really just embracing the body, your body as it is today, with all of its experiences that it's gone through. But I think the understanding of that physical emotional relationship working in both directions helps us to begin to understand our experience of pain.
So you're talking about this mind-body connection and our emotions. How can yoga help us mentally and emotionally?
So in a few ways. Firstly, we have the most basic, which is breath work, meditation, relax, quiet, your own space, being on the mat. Just by virtue of you lying down on the mat and beginning to breathe, that already is a sort of giving yourself a gift that so many people don't have. So just that lying on the mat with breath work and releasing the muscles and really understanding how powerful breath work can be. I think sometimes we don't really understand the power of just guided breathing or breathing, deep breath, getting all those muscles moving, using your lungs, using your diaphragm, using your core, sort of the core, the center muscles, whether it be pelvic floor muscles, abdominal muscles, and really understanding the breath and the power of breath work. Breath has a profound biological impact and a profound emotional impact in the way that it interacts with your nervous system, with your hormonal system, with your digestive system, with your cardiovascular system. It's not just deep breathing to relax your body. There are powerful biological, anatomical things that happen to your body when we breathe in that really deep, way, and also how we breathe. So many of us breathe naturally through our shoulders. We have this elevated breath where we're breathing through the shoulders and not breathing through the lungs, and really understanding the role that breath work plays. So I think that is really the first point. Guided meditation or some type of meditation, again, to connect your body in a slightly different way, to release any pain, stress points, that is also really, really important. And then to begin to move our body. And for some people, even the thought of moving your body can be triggering, but to do it in a really gentle, supportive way, with someone who really understands how the body works. And very often the source of the pain, or the expression of the pain, where you feel the pain, is not the source of the pain. And to really start to move the body and to look at the body form and how your specific body has constructed itself over time based on all the life experiences you've been to, or injury or surgery or trauma, how your body formed today is either supportive to you, or if we're talking about pain, often not supporting you. And then to really understand, how do we move the body? How do we learn to use the body to support our body, to ground our body, and then have through that groundedness to then be able to move in a really anchored, supportive way to begin to reconnect, to create that mobility, that flexibility, without pain, in a really slow, directed, guided way. Yeah, that's sort of how I work, and how I think yoga can play a really profound way in pain management and pain experience.
That's a lot. Besides just the flexibility, all the metabolic stuff, and that's really interesting. So I know there are a lot of different kinds of yoga. What type of yoga should we start with to make sure we're keeping it gentle?
Yeah, so I think you've already hinted in your phrasing of the question of gentle yoga. There are lots of different types of yoga, and many of the yoga techniques or modalities of yoga looking at different things, sort of the basic, as we said, the basic sort of guiding principles of yoga are, you know, connectedness, grounding, stability, flexibility, balance, strength. Those are sort of, I say, built in. So when we are looking for this more therapeutic or more pain management form of yoga, we really want it to be as supportive as possible. So using accessories, blocks, bolsters, pillows, anything that is going to make it supportive for you. We want it to be slow. We don't want any fast movement. We don't want any too much stress or strain at the beginning. We want to learn how to connect and use our body. So anything that really takes it back to sort of the basics of movement, any of the rest, restorative, kundalini types of yoga, therapeutic yogas, all of those like real basic yogas, as you are learning to reconnect with your body and disconnect from the pain. So you don't want to say, oh, I've been told that yoga is a really good way to help me manage my pain, and go into sort of a, you know, an Ashtanga type of yoga class or something like that. Like it's going to be too intense. That's not what you're looking for at the moment. You're not looking to do a perfect downward dog. That's not the intention at this stage. You know, the perfect downward dog is really irrelevant at this stage. We want to really have that space, calm environment, breath work, you know, and even if it means that for an hour yoga session, all you're doing is lying on the mat, that may be enough. Like lying on the mat with gentle guided movements, with release, with learning how to release the muscles, learning sort of how, where your pain points are, where they're coming from, what are sort of, you know, we talked about that body form, relearning how to use our body, how to support it through the core muscles, through balance and stability. There is, you know, I would be totally fine with the first few classes being 90% on the mat, not even, you know, lifting up, just being totally supported the whole time. So I think that's the expectations with someone who is really coming for coming to yoga for pain management. Eventually, obviously, we want to move and we want to be able to combine all those things, but that doesn't need to happen at the beginning, and there shouldn't be the expectations that it's going to, you know, that you are going to do a perfect whatever pose, you know, on day one. So yeah, so I think that's how, you know, if you are looking to use yoga, that's what you should be looking for as the, you know, as a therapeutic tool.
Okay. So if we start to hurt, how do we know whether to just push through the pain or stop because the pain's not normal and we're actually hurting ourselves?
Okay, so I think firstly, we need to differentiate between different types of pain. Not all pain is created equal, as you know. And I think that has to be the first question of, what is the source of my pain? Is the source of my pain an injury, sort of a pure injury, such as, you know, I fell over and broke my ankle and now I'm trying to recover, but I've got, you know, pain in my ankle? Is it back pain because you've been sitting, you're at a desk job and you're sitting for 9 hours a day, and so you now have back pain? Is the pain because of something that you've done, sort of what you would just assume is like a physical injury? Is it more rooted in an emotional response to an experience? The minute that your muscles contract and there is tension and stress in the muscles, that could very, very easily lead to a pain point, a trigger, an unexpected, something that all of a sudden, you know, you wake up in the morning and you've got a pain in your neck and the pain in the neck just doesn't go. You know, it just stays, and you go to the acupuncturist, or you go to your doctor, you're trying to get anti-inflammatories and nothing really helps. So then we sort of have to start thinking, okay, we can treat it from a purely physical point of view, but maybe there's something a bit more deeper going on. Maybe there's something happening. And then we have chronic pain, where pain maybe has, you know, exacerbated over time, or that you've been living with pain points for, you know, for a long time. And then we want to really start looking at what are the, you know, how is your body moving? And remember that you may have a pain point that comes all of a sudden, like, for example, You fell, you broke your ankle, you had ankle surgery, and now you have to recover. And in that process of recovering, you actually, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, you reconform your body to, because you're walking with a limp. So you may be using, let's say it was on your right ankle that you had surgery. So you may be using your left leg, your left side more. You may be putting more weight on your left side. And then 6, 8, 12 weeks later, when the injury has healed, all of a sudden you've got a pain on the left side. You've got left knee pain or left shoulder pain or left lower back pain. And you're like, what's happened? Like, how is that? Like, where did that come from? So we want to then, you know, when I work with my clients, I really want to take a really good history. Like, you're coming because you suffered for a year with left lower back pain. And then I'll ask, you know, what's your lifestyle? Do you sit? What's happened? Have you had any surgeries or have you had any injuries? Yes, a year ago I broke my ankle. I had surgery on my right ankle. Well, that's going to start, you know, the alarm bells ringing, because that is already a clue that the pain on the left side is not actually the source of the pain. As a result of this surgery, you misaligned your body in some certain way. And now all of a sudden you either have an extra strength or an extra weakness on that side. And so we need to realign the body. So we're always looking for that balance and alignment that sometimes is not always so obvious. And so we really want to understand, what is the source of the pain? How long have you had the pain? What's been going on in your body? If it's a trauma-related pain, if let's say it's an endometriosis-related pain, you've lived with endometriosis for years and years, and your body, you know, you may even be in some type of healing from endometriosis, but your body stores the pain. And that's another thing, like the muscle memory of pain. We have, you know, the pain may, you know, you go to there's so many stories of people who go to their doctors because they're in pain, and they do all the tests, and they, you know, have all the, you know, the x-ray and the CT and the MRI and all these different assessments. And there's no source of pain. There's no inflammation. There's no, you know, torn muscle. There's no nerve ending that's trapped or anything like that, but they're still in pain. So really understanding the root of the pain and what's going on, and to be a little bit curious about this experience of pain.
So do you think that people in chronic pain, because I know for me it's hard to get out, should we try like yoga on, you know, YouTube, or should we actually go and see somebody in person?
I think if you're doing yoga for pain management, pain relief, it needs to be one-on-one, because it is really personal, because you need to have the practitioner to look at you, see how you move, see what's going on. Yoga on YouTube, you're just following directions, but it's not geared specifically to your needs, your experiences, how your body is moving. So I think maybe that could be in addition to this one-on-one work, but I really think it's got to be one-on-one. It's very personalized. It's very much to meet you where you are on your journey. It's very much about your personal experience. So once you have that language, once you have that understanding, yoga on YouTube is great, and therapeutic yoga on YouTube is great. But I definitely think at the beginning, it's got to be a bit of one-to-one work.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I figured you're going to say that. And because it does make sense, right? I've tried doing yoga on, you know, TV before, and I felt pain, and not a good stretching pain, but a real pain. And I don't know if that's because I was doing it wrong. I probably jumped into it too quickly without kind of easing myself into it. There were probably a combination of things. So,
you brought up a point which I just wanted to go back to, and that is the difference. You asked the difference between maybe pain and stretch pain. How do you know what pain, when you're actually in practice, is good pain, and how do you know if it's bad pain? So I think we have to differentiate between if you're just doing a regular yoga practice or if you're doing therapeutic yoga. If you're doing a regular yoga practice, there should never be pain. There should never be, you should never create a new pain point or a new pain trigger, but you should feel stretched. There should be stretching of the muscles. You breathe into it, you relax, you stretch some more. Stretching is not a bad thing per se. Stretching without support, stretching without stability, stretching without grounding potentially could be a problem. But stretching in and of itself is not a bad thing. But when you're practicing just a yoga practice online or in a class, pain is not necessarily bad unless you're really feeling that it's like creating a new pain point or a pain trigger, very often in the lower back. Very often when we're doing back bends or any type of back extension, if it's not done in a supportive way where you're supporting the core, supporting the pelvic floor muscles, supporting the stomach, and therefore supporting the lower back, then you can do a back extension, which then triggers potentially a pain point in the lower back. When it comes to therapeutic yoga, there should not be any pain in the practice because you already are in pain. The pain, there obviously can be pain because sometimes you could be moving and it's just the experience of the pain. But therapeutic yoga should be supportive. It should be guided. It should be with accessories and bolsters. And so there shouldn't be any real new pain or experience of pain when you practice in a therapeutic way, because the whole point is to release, relieve, and reduce the pain.
That's good to know. I think that's really helpful for everybody. So where can we get more information about you and about what you do?
Thank you. So you can find me on Jacqueline Rose Women's Health. That is on my website, JacquelineRoseHealth.com, or Jacqueline Rose Women's Health all over social media. And I share yoga and women's health content. And specifically, if you are a woman on your perimenopause or menopause journey, 40 plus, you can join me at the Menopause Sisterhood, which is my private Facebook group, which is specifically for women on their menopause journey.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Lauren, for giving me the opportunity to share with you and your audience.
Yes. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any health, parenting, or life advice. For my freebie, 30 Ways to Relieve Pain Without Taking a Pill, go to @HurtsToMom.com/tips or @HurtsToMom on Instagram. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or want to be on this podcast, just email me at @HurtsToMom@gmail.com. I wish everybody a blessed day. Thank you.